you should probably expect spoilers. He was meant to be dead, but apparently M. Bison forgot to tell him that. Now he's back on the block with a sonic boom for his bitch ass. Who that? It's Charlie Nash. Street Fighter 2 gave us a character called Guile, a United Air Force major who was out to avenge the death of his friend Charlie. Because of that, the name Charlie was common knowledge to me due to this storyline. Street Fighter Alpha, or Street Fighter Zero if you're from Japan, was released in 1996, being set prior to the events of Street Fighter 2. The game featured a bunch of characters that I didn't really recognise, but one character caught my attention, and that was Charlie. Was this the same Charlie that kept being mentioned in Guile's backstory? Hell yeah, it was the same Charlie! What, you think Capcom are gonna waste a character slot on a character that had no relevance to the universe they were building? Don't be silly! Before we start getting into this episode, I am at a bloody crossroads on what the hell I should be calling this character now anyway. In Japan, he's always been known as Nash. In the West, he's always been known as Charlie. To ease up confusion, in some instances the two names were paired together to make it his full name, Charlie Nash, and now for Street Fighter 5 they're calling him Nash in all regions and removing the name Charlie entirely. So, until Street Fighter 5 comes out and we can see if it's a storyline reason as to why the name is just Nash now, I'm going to continue calling him Charlie, because that's the name that all of us Westerners had drilled into our heads ever since the dawn of time. So we okay with me calling him Charlie, yeah? Yeah? Cool? Alright, nicely does it. Charlie was a United States Air Force lieutenant and a trained martial arts instructor for the military. A nice bit of trivia for you is that Charlie was the US martial arts champion prior to Ken claiming the title. Charlie was also the superior officer to Guile, which is whom Guile learned the famous sonic boom and flash kick moves from in the first place. The two of them often worked together on missions for the military. One mission to Thailand, however, backfired hard on them and they ended up getting captured. Managing to make their escape, Charlie felt some suspect shit was going on and that their enemies must have been getting inside information from someone within the US military. His superiors were against it, but regardless of their orders, Charlie began investigating their department and much to his confirmation, learned that some key individuals were linked back to the criminal organisation known as Shadaloo. His superiors told him to turn a blind eye, Charlie told them to go suck their mum. On that note, Charlie sets out to apprehend M. Bison and bring the psycho to justice. Though considering how corrupted his military division was, just what justice he intended to bring M. Bison back to is anybody's guess. Now here's where things get a little fudgy, mainly because during the Alpha series, Capcom did a few retcons here and there, but I'll try and tie it all together as neatly as I can. Street Fighter Alpha 1 is considered an out-of-date version of the events, and so Alpha 2 is where we go from. In Alpha 2, Charlie catches up to M. Bison in Venezuela. Ready to arrest the crime lord, Charlie radios for his chopper to come and pick them up in 5 minutes. Charlie defeats M. Bison in combat, and just as he's beginning to interrogate Bison, his chopper arrives, only to open fire on him instead.
And it was right there that Charlie knew he had fucked up. Because when you're suspicious of your associates for being corrupt, and then rely on those same associates to back you up in a face-off with a rich fucking drug lord, don't look so surprised when they shoot your ass down instead, you fucking idiot.
So Charlie's body goes flying over the edge of the waterfall, and he's looking pretty game overed right there. But then he popped up in Street Fighter Alpha 3 like, oh hi everybody, just letting you all know that I'm fine. Alpha 3 has Charlie somehow cheat death from the previous game and go AWOL from his military unit in hopes of stopping M. Bison himself without having corrupt idiots messing up his plans. During these events, he teams up with Interpol agent Chun-Li, who is on a similar mission, as well as his old friend Guile. They manage to make it to Shadaloo HQ and plan to destroy the base with explosives. This plan backfires, however, as M. Bison arrives to stop them from, blowing up his house. Charlie heroically sacrifices himself to hold M. Bison back while Guile and Chun-Li are ordered to escape as everything explodes. Of course, Bison being Bison, he doesn't die and goes on to appear in Street Fighter 2 with Guile chasing after him for revenge of what happened to Charlie. Charlie himself by this point in the story? Dead. Officially, in canon, Charlie's dead. Kaput, finish. Oh wait, no, hold on, there he is again. Charlie is once again back from the dead, only this time he actually seems to have come directly back from being dead. His body is all patched together like some Frankenstein reject. His moves are more savage and beastly. This guy now looks like he would come to your house and fuck up your kid's birthday party if it meant he could kill M. Bison there. Unlike his reappearance in Alpha 3, which I personally felt weakened the impact of his death, this resurrected version of Charlie in Street Fighter 5 looks to have actual real story driven elements incorporated into how he's able to be amongst the living this time. The current theory going around right now is that the Illuminati are the ones responsible for bringing him back to life. This theory stems from the fact that the jewel on Charlie's head is looking damn similar to the jewels that Illuminati leaders Urien and Gil have on their heads, so it certainly seems like Charlie's made a deal with them. Not surprising really. I mean, everybody is making deals with the Illuminati these days anyway. Even I did it. Visual design. You can tell that the US military in the Street Fighter universe are not running things properly when they're letting characters like Guile and Charlie walk around with hairdos like this. Seriously bruv, the reason you probably got caught and botched that mission was because your hair gave your location away. All jokes aside, I actually really like Charlie's hairstyle. Your eyes are just naturally drawn to its sharp and angular presence, and it's probably the most defining part of his design. Another interesting thing about Charlie are his glasses, which he actually wears just for show. He has perfect eyesight. You kinda need to have that when you're a lieutenant of the Air Force. He just wears the glasses because he likes wearing them and he thinks he looks good with them on. With that unique hairstyle and his preference of wearing glasses only for stylistic reasons, Charlie is a character who clearly takes pride in keeping up his appearance. While we're talking about his head, is no one else gonna say that he looks kinda like Egon Spengler from the real Ghostbusters cartoon? No? Nobody? 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 No one. No one. That orange flak jacket is a bit vibrant for high-ranking military personnel, but honestly, I like it, and I feel this adds to Charlie's means of maintaining a look for himself. Though with nothing but a buff chest underneath, he does look like he stepped in straight from a 1990s boy band. Actually, yeah, he's wearing 3/4 length trousers and high tops. I know I saw this guy in the back of a Backstreet Boys music video. The green and orange complement each other fairly well, and thankfully there isn't too much orange in there to overpower the feel of the character. The dark green keeps him grounded, while as you move further up it brightens the palette, and I like the use of colour placements here. With Charlie in Street Fighter 5 looking physically reconstructed, you can clearly tell he's been to literal hell and back. I wasn't too keen on the massive staples that are patchworking his limbs together. They felt a little too cartoonish for such a gloomy take on the character, but I have warmed up to them a little since his reveal trailer, and I especially love the inclusion of the gem on his forehead. I will be speaking more about Charlie's Street Fighter 5 appearance in the future once that game has come out though, so be on the lookout for that when it happens, and yeah, I'll probably have to start calling him Nash by that point as well.
Hooray!
Personality. During the Alpha era, Charlie was known for being the character in the series who had the strongest sense of justice, probably even more so than Guile or Chun-Li. On those grounds, you'd expect him to be a serious no-nonsense character, and you'd be correct. The same can be said for Guile, however Charlie has one part to his personality that does separate them apart: his charismatic confidence. It's not overly done because Charlie is not meant to be portrayed as a cocky guy, but when he kicks your ass, sometimes he'll let you know if you were too easy. I like that about him. It's just enough charming cockiness to give him a slight edge to his demeanour without ever making it feel like he's being arrogant about it. Charlie also displays deep value for his friends, as evidently shown by him sacrificing his own life to save both Guile and Chun-Li at the end of Alpha 3. When you're surrounded by corrupted individuals, finding those you can trust becomes a very difficult thing. The fact he still contained faith in his old buddy Guile, as well as being able to place trust into his new comrade Chun-Li, means Charlie certainly had those particular two people close to his heart. Although Charlie's pursuit of justice was strong to the point that he might even lose his cool during a heated moment, he always placed the value of his friends as a paramount factor. So, you know a character has taken a dark turn when they suddenly appear back from the dead, and now that sense of justice they once had is no longer driven by fair judgment, but has become a warped obsession. Charlie wants to kill M. Bison. He's so blinded by this one goal that nothing else seems to matter now, not even his friends that he once gave his life trying to protect. One of his win quotes in Street Fighter V even sees him saying to Chun-Li that if she attempts to stop him, he won't hesitate to kill her. Raw fam, you need to calm down, you know? Go and listen to a Brian Culbertson album or something. Fact of the matter is, the Charlie we once knew is gone, and it's going to be interesting to see in Street Fighter V just how far in this direction he's willing to travel. Importance. Charlie is honestly what I consider to be one of the more important characters in the series, especially from the Shadaloo plotline perspective. In the old games, he only served as the driving force behind Guile's motivation. Charlie's death gave Guile a reason to hunt down M. Bison, and back then, if just by name alone, Charlie had a presence within the universe. But the Alpha series expanded upon this character in a number of ways. He was the reason Guile knew those moves because he was the one who taught them to him. The Sonic Boom is an iconic technique in this series, and through Charlie we get to see the move used by its creator. He even performs the move with just one hand while Guile needs to use two, further emphasizing just how superior Charlie is meant to be portrayed to us as. He also had great importance directly towards M. Bison by being one of the first characters in the order of the timeline to hunt for him. It was through Charlie's story did we learn how far M. Bison's corrupted reach could go, and Charlie was essentially the first character to almost bring Bison to his knees at the end of Alpha 2, had it not been for that bloody helicopter. As stated earlier, he also has connections to Chun-Li as well. We knew Chun-Li had always been after M. Bison, but it was nice to see that the two main forces chasing after him essentially did team up together. One thing that's bugging me though is Charlie's connection to the character Abel. You know, that one guy from Street Fighter 4 whose personality smelled like cat piss? Yeah, at some point Charlie apparently found a brain-dead Abel wandering around an abandoned Shadaloo base. Charlie took care of the guy, nursing him back to full health before leaving. And I'm like, okay, cool, that was a very nice thing you did for the simpleton, but at what bloody point in the timeline was this? Weren't you meant to be dead after Alpha 3? Unless this plot point happened during the Alpha era, which seems way too early considering Abel's place in the story's timeline. Headache now. Yeah, I know, I'm grasping at something here which probably just needs to be fully explained some more, so I'll back off until we're told otherwise, but seriously, that could be a potential plot hole if Capcom are not careful about it. Either way, no matter if the timeline connects perfectly right now or not, one thing about Charlie is certain. Whether he's in the forefront actively on duty himself, or he's in the background helping to be a plot device that drives other characters forward, Charlie is entwined within the major events transpiring in the series. He's able to have high levels of importance to the ebb and flow of the whole Shadaloo arc regardless of being a playable character or not, and there's really not many Street Fighter characters who have achieved this. Conclusion. Charlie's drive has always been his pursuit of justice, and for that he was destined to clash with the main antagonistic organisation of the series. Shadaloo does quite a few bad things to a few good characters, and Charlie here became one of the biggest fatal casualties at the hands of M. Bison. It's also rare for us to be able to play as a character that we already know will end up dead later on in the series. That said, there's also a sad taste of ironic tragedy with him, considering the reason he set out on his pursuit of justice in the first place was to end the corruption circulating amongst his comrades. Now Street Fighter V shows us a Charlie who himself has become so corrupted due to his obsession with that pursuit that he doesn't care how he obtains that justice so long as it's fully obtained. He's become a character that has fallen from grace, and we've been given one hell of a story arc because of it. All things added up, Charlie is an integral part to the Street Fighter universe and he definitely does deserve our attention. But he's not my favourite character just yet. I want to see how things pan out for him in Street Fighter 5 before I can truly call it, but right now, he's very close to sealing the deal.